Her. Today or ever. Is there a motion we approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Brandy, you need to put that in the minutes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and I meant it. And add, I meant it. All right, Mr. Pons.
Yeah, so it's actually gonna be Miss Hayes who's gonna be presenting.
Miss Hayes.
Okay, so we've got a conditional use application for y'all. This is the standard, it's 1217 University Boulevard, sandwiched right between 1225 and Rounders on the Strip. William Cornish is petitioning for this conditional use to allow a gastropub. So again, this is just an aerial view of that property. And then just a view from the street so you can see it a little bit better. It's going in that JCG apparel building.
Well, they're down there remodeling it right now.
It's completely gutted.
Yeah.
I saw that.
It is.
They do have their approved LPP and permits.
Okay.
So the request again is for a conditional use to allow that gastropub. Conditional use criteria to consider is occupancy, hours of operation, kitchen hours of operation specifically for this is what we're focusing on, and the bar hours of operation, proximity to like establishments, public safety plan, and plan to reduce possible nuisances. So just gonna highlight very quickly the departmental comments that we received, specifically from Fire and TBD, both kind of focusing on that concern for occupancy. Fire kind of highlighted the fact that there are two adjacent occupancies that have a combined load of 1,100 people,
Yeah.
and they're concerned about it creating issues with exit, discharge, and loitering. TBD does want one occupancy load set. Fire has set one occupancy load, it's 180. We'll discuss that a little further tonight. And then TBD has some questions about whether there will be cameras and lighting. I did reach out to petitioners. They are here in person if y'all have more questions for them. But they will have cameras. All the footage will be available upon request. Y'all have any questions about this?
We've been having, I know Mr. Busby and I have both been having concerns about the strip and the entrances and the exit. I've had emails and talked with persons. Since this petition will be in the middle of two very vibrant establishments, how are they going to do the entrances going into without being in the street?
So essentially with this, I will go ahead and mention it again. Y'all are gonna discuss the queuing permit discussion a little bit later in public safety. I think that will definitely hit some of the concerns that y'all have with that. Their plan is to focus on getting everyone inside the building, and they can hit you a little bit better with this. At a certain point, they are going to close the inside of it and just have people walking up to a window to get your pizza. That's what they're mainly gonna be serving is pizza and related things. Wings, again, I'll discuss the menu in full tonight if y'all have more questions about that. But if y'all have any more questions, concerns specifically about that, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to answer.
Is this just on this, is this on pre-council for discussion today? Or is this,
It's coming tonight.
it actually is coming on the agenda tonight?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed if they brought a bunch of their employees down here to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, these guys must be doing something right. And I'm excited for y'all. I really am.
And one thing that, and I know Mr. Busby met with them before I did, and I met with them with the chief, and Chief Blankley said he'd have to say he's never seen a police chief write such a letter of recommendation for anybody.
Yeah.
And your police chief did that. Was Easton,
Yes, yes.
Pennsylvania?
But he's married to your daughter. So I met with him at length and did everything I could to make them completely and fully aware of the potential problems there. They are aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think their problem will be getting business.
Right.
I think their problem will be managing and shaping that business to keep it a place that people want to go.
Yeah.
They come in eyes wide open, so I'm all right with it.
Yeah, me too. And I tell you, they were here that A day that famous A-Day. And they were across the street and witnessed what we all saw that day. I was spent a long time with them as well, and I really, like Chief Blankley said, I want that first slice of pizza. That pizza looks amazing.
Well, did y'all do business, did you tell me at Penn State?
I graduated from Penn State.
Oh,
We
I
graduated from Penn State,
misunderstood.
but we've had multiple bars and restaurants in the Lehigh Valley area.
We've dealt with congested areas before.
Okay.
If anything, we're gonna be there to help out, then create problems.
So we'll have our personal security at the front door, in the middle of the restaurant, and so that way people will always be there for us. Especially
Gotcha.
on the really busy days, controlling the crowd's the most important thing. You know, because if the people aren't eating or drinking in the place, you don't want them there. You want the people to spend money in the place. So you just want to constant rotation as much as you possibly can.
So Emily, refresh us on the gastropub approvals. Those have a 1 year, not probation. It's a 1 year period to evaluate that legitimacy and before solidifying, is that right?
Well, and it's at any point in time. It's not just a 1 year probation. It's, if there's some kind of error within the first 3 months, if there's an error 15 months, 2 years down the road, and y'all want to reconsider what's going on with that, you have that ability to pull
Okay,
that
but
conditional
essentially
use.
that generally takes the form of continually evaluating, is it what it's licensed to be, a restaurant that serves alcohol?
Yes.
Okay.
What are there set hours? I know these guys are gonna be open, but feeding people pizza. But is there a certain hour you have to have lunch or anything like that?
So the way that and Ms. Hayes has that definition, but it's mealtime hours versus late night hours, and it's typically serving meals during mealtime hours. And so we do like to see lunch being served. And I believe their intention is to have lunch being served as well.
And we'll discuss their hours as well, that's on there. They're planning on opening about 11,
Yeah.
so.
So next time we see them, they're gonna be all silver-headed as me.
We're stressed out.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good with it.
Okay. All right, Mayor Maddox.
Yes, sir. First, I want to introduce our new Arts and Entertainment Director, Kay Day. We've all gotten to know Kay well. She's an incredibly hard worker, dedicated to the cause, professional. I can't say enough about her. I want to thank our interview committee. Mr. Wilson was the
Yes, sir.
council member who served on it. Kelsey Rush from TTS served on it as well, along with Brendan and LaShonda. I interviewed 5 candidates myself, and we had top-notch candidates, both internal and external. And so Kay won a very spirited competition for the job, and I'm very proud of her. I know she's going to do great things for the city of Tuscaloosa. It does mean we'll be hiring an amphitheater director.
Mhm.
So that'll be, I guess, one of her first major chores of her tenure. But Kay, you want to say anything?
I just want to thank everybody for their support. We do a lot of people in this room. I really appreciate it. I support this mayor and I support the city council. I love the city and I love our team members. They're some of the hardest working people that I've ever met in my entire career. And I look very much forward to doing positive things for the city and for our team members. Looking forward to the challenge.
Mayor, may I add one thing about with that? I visited. I hadn't been inside in probably a couple of years or so, and I was going like, man, this place looks incredible. During COVID, Kay and her people did their own painting of the walls and everything in there. Y'all did that. I mean, that impressed the heck out of me because it looked so professional, so good, and the whole inside just looks amazing. But the fact that y'all did that on a downtime was pretty impressive.
Well, I was going to say, you took the words out of my mouth. Kay doesn't ask our team members to do anything she's not willing to do herself. The other thing that gave Kay an advantage is during one of the concerts, we had a major weather event. And I just sat in the back of the room and I watched her take charge. You got a police chief, a fire captain, you got National Weather Service on the line. you got the manager of the artist, you got Red Mountain. Everybody has different goals and objectives, and all those points come at Kay. And just to watch her manage that, putting the safety of our patrons first, that gives me great comfort, because there's many nights with an outdoor venue you're going to face challenges, and to watch her, and communications, by the way, to see all that, to me, that was an advantage. But that's what you do with that advantage, and it was very impressive to me and gave me great comfort in the selection. So again, congratulations, Kay. Just a couple other quick things. Budget presentation. I'll be presenting my fiscal 23 budget to you on Thursday afternoon, August 25th at 1:30. So it's going to be 1:30 to 4:30. It's not an all-day event like last year. We don't necessarily have the 10-year water and sewer plan or the police and fire pay plan. So, but it still will probably take 2 to 3 hours. We want to give you a comprehensive overview. It's going to be, right now it says Doherty Room, but I suspect we'll move it to the council chambers. But that 1:30 on August 25th is the time. So it should have gotten onto your calendars. We will be requesting an executive session after pre-council, and I imagine we've got 3 items, I believe. It will take some time. A couple of these are complex, so we want to make certain that we share that with you. The last is that you, as we discussed at our July 12th meeting, work session regarding Saban Center and Event Center next week, there will be a resolution authorizing us move to final design. Here is the latest spreadsheets. There are no changes since our July 12th meeting, but I just went ahead and printed off a new copy for you. Just to kind of give you a recap, we've had 4 work sessions on May 26th, June 9th, June 16th, and 7/12. I know our team has worked to try to dot every I and cross every T. In the coming week, if you have any more questions regarding the decision to move final design, please let us know. We certainly want to answer it, and that's all I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I did actually read the 9-page memo. At 9 pages, it's no longer a memo, it's a point memo.
Audrey couldn't be here today, but that's on
So,
the...
and my question is simple and doesn't even have to be answered at the moment, but as sort of the proposer, did you give any thought to presenting that resolution as an either or, as opposed to as I read it, if you're supporting both projects bundled together? Did you?
I think what we would do, the sense I got from our last meeting was put both of them together, because our RFP, who we would select for these professional services, and would probably change. So if it were come up to a negative vote, then at that point, then we would probably seek to do that. That was the feedback that
I remember that now.
in the meeting.
Mayor, one question I do have, I was asking that when we met last week. What's the price on this 13 on the design?
The design
Is it
price will be a
13
total around 10 million.
And where, now that's.
But the difference is Vulgar to the 13.
If you include Vulgar
That's
as,
what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
That comes by,
that's part of it.
that's the mat 7% or 10% is.
yeah, normally your
Something like that.
professional service fees are gonna be 10% of the project cost. In the hiring of Vulgar, it's to my knowledge, the first time we've ever hired a program manager. But we've never built a facility that's been 45 million. The closest that we came to a program manager, I would say, and this might be a little bit of apples and oranges, was our use of CH2M Hill when we built the plot plan. We had CH2M Hill lead. We also had McGifford as a local engineer, and that was around a $30 million water treatment plant.
Yeah.
So in specialty cases, in something that we don't necessarily do every day, we tend to go out and get that extra opinion with the belief that saves you money, and that you will save that money on the design and construction phase.
I remember that. Okay.
But we would love to answer any questions. Certainly Audrey and her team are fired up. As you know, as you saw through some fundraising activities, it's been we're a very successful time, and there will be some outstanding rollouts this fall that I think will certainly be positive for the Savings Center.
Any other questions for the mayor? Okay, I apologize, Zach, you weren't finished, y'all weren't finished, I apologize. So you have some slides?
Yes, I do, yeah, we got a couple more items for you guys tonight. Jerusalem Garden subdivision, so this is a 14 residential planned unit development over by, we've discussed this a little bit, but
Yeah.
it kept getting pushed back. So this is over kind of near, what is that restaurant? Archibald's.
Dreamland?
Oh,
Dreamland,
the original
Dreamland.
Yeah.
So you can see it's an awkward site to work with, and they're proposing 14 homes, 1,300 to 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom homes, 2-car garages. The price point is 175 to 210 starting price. And these are what the proposed elevations look like, and this was unanimously recommended for approval in January. Any questions on this?
I'm just tickled to death. I know Mr. Lanier's not here, he is too, but
Yeah.
I just hope we get more over there. I hope this will just be a beginning for that neighborhood.
He won't be here, he probably won't be here all day.
And then this DROD 0422 is alone Tuscaloosa, so we discussed that at admin last, or the 19th. So just quickly overviewing this one again. So this is over near Alabama Power downtown in Timson Square. Here's the property. And just to recap, it's 106 bedrooms, 92 units. It's condominium units. It's going to operate as a hotel. It's going to have an outdoor pool with 3,000 square feet of exterior assembly space, as well as 18,000 square feet of commercial space.
This is
It
Oregon.
is a 7-story mixed-use
Yeah.
building. It will have 175 parking spaces on site. And it was considered in June 2022 and unanimously recommended for approval. So we discussed this in length at admin policy. It didn't seem like there were too many questions that arose on that one.
This is the adjacent piece of property to the
Correct.
one that
Yeah.
got pulled.
Not the one,
Yeah.
not the one that they're reworking the floor plan.
We're supposed to get back soon.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So is that District 1 or District 4? Okay,
It's your
District 1,
district.
right, that's what I thought. Okay, but it had 4
Is-
here.
Will the process, when the other building, whatever proposed project, that'll come back to admin, right?
Correct.
Right.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
it's next week.
Is it next
And
week?
Next week, you'll be able to see what they're proposing as updates.
You guys,
Maybe.
you haven't seen it yet.
We've been in discussion with them, and
Yeah.
we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, Ford called me yesterday, and wanted me to come look at something, and I couldn't do it yesterday.
I hadn't spoke to him since.
I have for about 20 years.
And then one more item for you.
Was that a shot?
This is an
I'm just saying,
annexation,
about 20 years.
I think that was a shot.
adjacent to the lake. So this is actually a pretty large piece of property, 11 acres. They are trying to get into city limits in order to go to Rock Quarry Elementary School. There were no issues brought up by any of the departments that reviewed the application.
So do they know that once they get in, they can't?
You're getting right ahead.
Yeah,
That was the next
blood.
question.
We made it very clear.
You made it very clear.
We don't hear, well, I won't be back in 15 years.
Well,
so
were
we'll
they overjoyed by the new form? That spells all this stuff out, that says that what your intentions are.
They signed it, so.
Yeah.
And
So-
and we're sure they understand this is kind of permanent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Kind of permanent.
Well, it should be. I mean, I guess nothing is
So
permanent.
is it contiguous to the city already?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason they do that is because it's on the lake.
But yeah, so that's all we
Good.
got for you. And you can adopt this by unanimous consent.
Okay.
Okay, that all is that? Okay, any other department comments, announcements at this time? Anybody? All right, Mr. Holmes.
Good
afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
I will be right below Mr. Hahn's item there in number 8 on page 2 of your agenda. And on page 21 through 22, we'll be adopting the city's 2022 action plan for the community planning and development programs and authorizing the submission of the plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. You heard about that in CD committee last week. On page 23, you'll be authorizing execution of a vendor agreement and related documents for the state of Alabama low-income household water assistance program, and you heard about that in admin last week. On page 24, you'll be authorizing the Tuscaloosa Police Department to sign a memorandum of agreement with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. That request comes from the Tuscaloosa Police Department. On page 25 through 26, you'll be amending a resolution authorizing the creation and implementation of school supplies for parking tickets program from July 19th of 2022. You heard about that in admin. On page 27, you'll be authorizing a contract with Evaquah Water Technologies, despite the number of times I've told them to stop making me say that. And that is not to exceed $227,000. You will hear about that on projects today. On page 28, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a primary agreement and task order directive number 1 for professional engineering and related services with Duncan Coker Associates PC for the University Boulevard Corridor Improvements Project. That is a total not to exceed $54,900, and you heard about that in projects last week. On page 29, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Rick's Service Company LLC. That is not to exceed $24,450, and you heard about that in projects last week. On page 30, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Shepherd Services LLC, not to exceed $6,169, and you heard about that in projects last week. On page 31, you'll be authorizing a contract with Spencer Management LLC for exterior home repair services for the Office of Community and Neighborhood Services Let's Paint and Renovate program. That is a total not to exceed $50,000, and you heard about that in CD committee last week. On page 32, you'll be authorizing a one-time lump sum payment to retirees through the Retirement Systems of Alabama. You heard about that in admin last week. On page 33, you'll be authorizing adjustment and refund of excess deposit to Sperling Properties LLC for the installation of water mains and services for 4th Street and 23rd to Charles Sperling Fire Line. That is a total of $547.72. Comes from OCE. On page 34, you'll be authorizing the First Amendment with Singular Wireless PCS LLC to the 29th Street Water Tower option agreement to lease additional property to install a generator and propane tank. That comes from my office. On page 35, you'll be authorizing a payment of a Comcast invoice for the construction of underground utilities regarding phase 2 of the MLK Jack Warner Boulevard project, total of $28,071. You heard about that in projects last week. We will skip down a little bit to where on page 41, you'll be appointing William Edwards to the Historic Preservation Commission. On page 42, you'll be amending section 19-61 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. That came from admin last week. Page 43, you'll be amending section 19-17 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. That again came from admin last week. On page 44, you'll be amending section 7-18A8. Excuse me. That came from admin last week. On page 45, you'll be amending section 19-66 Code of Tuscaloosa. That came from admin last week. On page 46, you'll be authorizing Amendment 12 to fiscal year 2022 general fund budget. That is doubled up, and you're here in finance today. On page 47, you will be authorizing Amendment number 4 to the 2022 Elevate Fund budget. You heard about that in finance on 12th. It must just come from finance on the 12th. I'm sorry, I think my note may be incorrect. That is all I have other than the executive sessions at the close of this meeting. Is there any questions for me?
Scott, page 33, what's going on?
Page 33,
Adjustment.
OCE, is there somebody from OCE that knows about? That came from OCE. I'll grab one of them and have them.
Ask them to be ready in projects
Yes.
to tell me what's going on there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions for Scott? All righty. Thank you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
We got full day, almost, really. We got a little break after public safety, project finance, public safety council at 6. Mayor's budget, of course, on Monday, August 25th. And Marion, any updates on our school supplies? I know it's only been not even barely a week, but. are you-
Well, actually, it won't be implemented until.
August 1st.
Yeah, but this
Yep, you're right.
afternoon on public safety, there needs to be an amendment, so Jimbo has prepared that.
August 1st through the 31st, correct?
31st.
Okay, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on that.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of calls because they want to start it now.
That's awesome.
They want their discount.
Yeah,
I'm just glad they're interested.
I hope everybody that's got tickets out there will do so. Okay, is there a motion we go into executive session?
Moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that the matters for discussion in executive session today are to discuss with their attorney the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation, controversies not yet being litigated, but imminently likely to be litigated, or imminently likely to be litigated if the governmental body pursues a proposed course of action, as well as to discuss security plans, procedures, assessments, measures, or systems, or the security or safety of persons, structures, facilities, or other infrastructure, including without limitation information concerning critical infrastructure, the public disclosure of which could reasonably be expected to be detrimental to public safety or welfare.
We have motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?